All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
It's the brother Kalaya.
Brother Ra'aya.
From GMS, New Orleans. All right, coming at you with a quick lesson. Prior to getting started, I'd like to give all glory, honors, and prayers unto
Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakakudash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, and today we're going to kind of get on the topic of this impending famine. All right, it's inevitable. All right, and it's going to hit you like a freight train, man. All right, all of these different bills are being put in place, legislation. It's all going into going along with Bible prophecy. All right, no matter how these people try to say they're making America great again, or putting it as making it their duty to put food on tables, the Lord has another thing coming, man. All right, and ultimately He's going to use Esau, Edom, and this system, all right, to put belt to ass to you Jakes, man. All right, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, so we're gonna get a couple scriptures, pretty much going into that. But before we get that, I'd like to get that article that I just had put in the chat. All right, and this was just posted in the last hour. I was already going into the famine, but as I was sitting here waiting on a brother, this popped up, and I was like, perfect. All right, it says Trump administration says it will withhold SNAP food aid from Democrat-led states over data. All right, and who basically supports the Democrats, man? You Jakes, okay? And it goes to read. It says President Trump's administration said Tuesday that it will move to withhold SNAP food aid from recipients in most Democratic-controlled states starting next week, unless those states provide information about those receiving the assistance. All right, and what does that go back to, man? I had to tell you in the book of Isaiah, that woe unto them that trust in Egypt. Okay, we'll go down to Egypt. All right, basically your trust. You put your trust in Esau, Edom, man, the devil. You want to say something?
I got a precept for you.
Come.
You know how it's going into, as the brother's going into, Nero 47, saying he's planning on withholding SNAP benefits from Democrat led states. And what's Esau and America always been known as? The place of bounty and plentifulness.
That's right.
America's always there to give people food, make sure people's taken care of. But as we're coming into the collapse of America, you're starting to see this draconian nature of Esau show more and more.
That's right.
He has no need to keep up that veil of being this as it's about to go into, this liberal, peaceful person. Because he's coming into that NWO.
If I could say before you grab that, because that's not his nature. What you see now is not the true Esau Edom, or the true so-called white man. All right, he's actually a devil, all right, and he's full of rage and hatred, and he's going to show his horns. But you got it out.
This is Isaiah 32 verse 5. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. And a vile person and a churl is pretty much a scumbag, which is Esau's true nature, a selfish, bloodthirsty demon. But as it says, the vile person shall no more be called liberal. Could you get the definition for liberal real quick? Because, when you think of liberal, think about conservatives versus liberals. With the liberals, what? They give people everything they want, your particular orientation, your sexual orientation, all that kind of stuff, rights, human rights, food, all that stuff.
Yeah, and it goes into, this is on the online etymology, it says generous, also nobly born, noble, free, selfless, all right, admirable. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And that's how Esau wants to show himself as, I'm generous, I'm noble, I'm selfless, admirable, magnanimous. America's the place of whose streets are paved with gold. They used to have a saying, give us your poor, give us your hungry, give us your weak, because they can come to America and make something of themselves and live that American dream.
I got a little bit more. It says literally of freedom pertaining to or benefiting a free person. It says unrestricted.
Yeah, from liber, free, unrestricted, unbridled, unchecked, licentious, which what? What is Esau known as? The man of sin. And sin is the transgression of the law. And the law has order and structure to it, but Esau wants everybody to be in this do as thou wilt, live freely spirit, that liberal spirit. And as I said, the vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. With Nero 47 planning on cutting a lot of these benefits, it's not going to be bountiful for these people anymore that have been, living off the government and taking advantage, or actual people that have needed those things to get by. It's about to get a very tight out here, which we saw how these people were reacting when it was looking like Snap was going to get cut off. People were wigging the fuck out. Verse 6, for the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity. Going back to that article, where he's saying he's planning on cutting SNAP benefits to Democrat-led states, which, as this brother just said, who mainly supports you Democrats? You Jakes.
That's right.
So-called Negroes and you so-called Latinos. To practice hypocrisy and to utter error against Yahweh, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. Now we know that there's a spiritual sense of that, taking away the truth and understanding of things, making people spiritually hungry and thirsty out here. But as we're going into this article, people are about to get physically hungry and thirsty. And it specifically mentioned what? To make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to pour. So, and again, who's that mainly talking about? You Israelites, which I read verse 7. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor, which are you Israelites, with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. So, hey.
No, you got it.
All throughout those 3 verses, it mentions the poor, the soul of the hungry and the thirsty failing, and what this vile churl, no more being called liberal or bountiful. Revelation 12 verse 12, this devil is coming down in great wrath because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Esau's dropping the mask, so to speak, and showing you his true nature, because he's got to get his enterprise fulfilled. And that involves a lot of these people out here who these elites call useless eaters getting cut off. And we're seeing the beginning stages of it right now.
That's right. Hey, and you'll bring us right into that 2nd Ezra 15 and 10.
You want it right now?
Yeah.
This is 2nd Ezra 15 verse 10. Behold, my people, the poor, is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt.
Yeah, and ultimately, as we've been going into the poor, you Jakes, right? You're being led. That's like a saying that you don't even know where you're going. All right, the Lord is leading you by way of you depended on Esau, Edom for all of these years, these decades, right, for centuries. Okay, and now you finna come to the big slaughter. All right, it's almost like when you doing that kind of work, farm work and things of that nature. All right, you fatten up the whatever kind of animal you're about to harvest, but you're making it for the best harvest. All right, you're fattening up as they used to say, the pig. Okay, before the slaughter. And that's what Edom has done. He's dumbed you down, to the max. You people literally, if he said, hey, I am, the physical counterpart of Satan, you wouldn't believe it. And that's exactly how he wanted.
Yeah, they got that saying in the world, like sheeps to the slaughter.
That's right.
Which is exactly where he's leading you people, especially you Israelites. And what? You mentioned how far Esau has dumbed you people down. Esau is known as the basest of men in the scriptures. And as it says in Sirach 10, as is the leader, so are the people. He's a base, even though, he's in power right now, at the end of the day, he's a base, dumb man. Right. So that vibration he's putting out is putting you people on this low carnal level that just think with what? Your stomachs and your emotions, which you had that devil, Henry Kissinger, make a famous quote. If you want to control nations, control the oil. But if you want to control people, control the food.
That's heavy. You got it.
And that's the Uno card that Esau's about to come with. Really messing with the food out here to get you people desperate to accept anything, which we know is ultimately going to be that C-hip.
You keep going.
Verse 11. But he will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof.
You could get the next one, that'll be it.
Verse 12. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it.
Yeah, and ultimately the Lord's gonna break the foundation of this place, man. All right, this well-oiled machine that you see, all right, from the looks of it, it looks that way, but actually, you know, it's really decrepit and old. Okay, this thing called the government is gonna shut down, all right, strategically, all right, at a point in prophecy, right, a point in time when the Lord sees fit. But ultimately, what that brings is what? Famine, okay, and ultimately desolation, all right. But you could give 13 and 14, and we could get some other stuff.
Verse 13. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with the fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein.
And who tills the ground really here, right? Going back to the poor, right? And your dollars are not gonna make, you know, that much of an impact no more, man. All right, the trying to think of the word, it's escaping me right now, but it don't have purchasing power as it used to. All right, so and we seeing that in our own personal lives, you know. So how much more, all right, when these times are right up on us, okay, when we're living through it, all right. But if you had something, you could grab it. I'm gonna get something else too.
I'm gonna jump to the next chapter in 2nd Esdras 16, because as the brother was going into, you know, the Lord is breaking down this place strategically, and what that involves is famines, especially pestilences, you know, civil unrest, racial unrest, martial law, all these things, you know, we're clearly seeing coming from all angles. It just hasn't, you know, popped off like that yet. But this is 2nd Esdras 16. I'll start at 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Verse 19. Behold, famine, mentioning famine a second time, and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Which you got the prophets out here, you know, telling you what's about to take place. And even, you know, another perfect example of this is that whole SNAP thing. You know, you had a bunch of these women complaining that SNAP was going to go out, and then you had brothers saying, look, this may be it, this may not be it, but there's going to come a time to where those benefits are going to be completely cut off, and you and your children are going to starve. But then when things got better, no more talking about the shutdown or the SNAP benefits getting cut off, not being mindful of the scourges and going back to business as usual. Verse 21, which, you know, this is coming to an end as we speak. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. You know, food, creature comforts, all that. As the brother was going into, we can see in our daily lives that prices just keep on steadily rising. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth. Sword, famine, mentioned the third time, and great confusion. Verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, for the fourth time, complete. And others that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. So there's going to be so much death due to famine and hunger and the sword, that it's just going to be, you know, so many dead bodies laying around that, you know, you're just going to step over them and not give a second thought to it.
Yeah, and that's what, you know, this devil is leading you to, right? Obviously, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is, you know, putting that will in his back, okay, because he does have to, you know, judge Israel first, okay? You can't just go into the kingdom of heaven unscathed. Nah, he have to repay you for your disobedience. 2/3 of the nation of Israel, man, you know. But I'm gonna get this real quick. This Lamentations chapter 4, and you can hold Matthew chapter 6 and 25, because that Matthew is going to go into what we're going to be doing, all right, when all of these things are going on. All right, this Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 9, and it reads, it says, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pine away, stricken through for the want of the fruits of the field. All right, and it is literally telling you that it's better if you get killed with the sword, because, you know, let's be frank, that's a quicker death. All right, when you die from hunger, you're actually eating yourself to death. All right, and that's going to be the fate of a lot of you gluttonous people, right, that eat in excess, right, eat when you don't need to, don't even believe in, you know, fasting, right? You're going to pine away, man. Especially a lot of you fats too, man. You know, you've engorged yourself. All right, and the Lord gonna see about that.
And what's another thing too, a lot of people do, they eat, they call it comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
People are so depressed out here that you got people turning to drugs and alcohol, but a lot of people eat their sorrows away. So what do you think that's gonna do to where you're just going through a bunch of psychological and physical torment out here, and you can't even get anything to eat to try to forget about that situation? People are just gonna completely wig out.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. You know, the Lord, he gonna allow you to settle in the realization of what's going on. All right, in that time, you know, a whole bunch of shit gonna be going on. A lot of information about different countries, right, being destroyed, different states, right. A lot of family members gonna be passing away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so hey, the Lord not gonna let you, like this brother said, you know, get that little sense of comfort. Nah, you gonna have to go through it in its raw, in fullness, man. You got it with that.
Okay. This is Matthew 6 and 25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body more than raiment?
And I'm bringing this out because one would say, what are we going to do in these situations, right? What if we're speaking about all of these things to come? Because the scriptures does say, you know, woe unto the world that dwell and them that dwell therein. All right, but the Lord has set aside a specific people, all right, which are the elect, and 144,000, man. Okay, so with that being said, that's why we're out here doing what we're doing. It's brick cold out here, man. All right, this brother just got off work. I got off work a little earlier, all right, this day particularly, but normally we'll just be, you know, getting off work and going home. But me and this brother putting in some work, man, so that we can be counted here, all right, so that we don't have to take thought, all right, in that day. Oh, damn, man, I ain't eating a week. What am I? It's literally telling you, take no thought what you should eat or drink, man. You know, which we gonna get that in the book of Isaiah, but you got it out.
Con. Hey, the next verses, you know, back up everything you said. And I mean, shit, you know, doesn't an employer feed his workers?
That's right.
We're feeding the elect right now. For what? So the Lord can feed us in that day.
That's right.
Verse 26, behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? So pretty, if I could say real quick, it's comparing a fowl or a bird to humans, actually tilling the ground, building barns and storing up, you know, food, which sounds like what a prepper out here. And the Lord's saying these birds that are just living in nature and going off, you know, their instincts, so to speak, the Lord takes care of them. So how much more the elect? You know, of course, you know, if brothers, there's nothing wrong with brothers and sisters putting a little to the side, but we're not relying upon that.
That's right.
We know that when we're going to be in the wilderness out here during Jacob's trouble, you know, going through these different situations and whatnot, you know, the Lord is going to feed us, and we have that expectation, like how a bird relies upon nature, you know, stuff like that to be fed. You know, we're going to rely on the Lord to perform miracles for us. You come across a bunker somewhere. You may come across you think it might be an empty gas station, but it just happens to have a few cans of food in it, or literal birds like with Elijah.
Might bring,
you know, food to you, which I'll never forget this incident that happened a couple of years ago. Right around this very spot, you know, we had a brother down here from Houston, and we were doing a lesson, and I think we were reading that very same verse in Kings, talking about the bird bringing the food to Elijah. And as we were talking about that, a raven or a blackbird came by with a literal piece of bread in his mouth.
Heavy.
Came right by us. So that was just confirmation right there that the Lord is going to look out for his elect in these days we're coming into.
Yeah, more on that. Oh, that was it.
That was pretty much it.
Con, this just to because I had this on the list too. It's funny you bring that up. This the book of 1 Kings chapter 17, and I'll start at verse 1. It says, "And Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, As the Lord Yahweh of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Get thee hence, and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan, and it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there." You see, so hey, the Lord led him to what? Food and water, you know, which a brook is like a little creek, right? A place where fresh drinking water is. Okay, and the Lord He's gonna do the same, really greater miracles in the time to come, you know. But Babaka Shah, if you can grab Isaiah 65 and yep.
God, this is Isaiah 65.
Well, we're in on that. I got one more before that. Let me get this. This the book of Job, chapter 5 and 19. It says, "He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee." Right, and that 7 going into ultimately the ICBM nuclear missiles. All right, and it also represents completion. You see, so from 1 to 7, anything in between, the Lord gonna protect us from, man. You know, it says verse 20, "In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword." You know, and that's what the Lord gonna do, man. Okay, for the elect, he's gonna keep you from dying, man, from starving. All right, and we're not saying you just gonna be eating fucking beef Wellingtons and asparagus and shit.
6-piece chicken, honey lemon pepper chicken wings. You know, with the side of fries.
Cajun fries at that.
Kind.
You know, we're not saying that, but you're gonna be satiated, man. Your hunger will be satiated. All right, it's gonna get you to the next time you need to eat again, all right, or drink again. You see, but we can end it on that Isaiah 65.
And I'll say this too, you know, the importance, you know, of course, you know, brothers and sisters got different schedules and everything, but y'all should definitely be fasting out here, because that helps you in disciplining your body to satiate that appetite, to where you'll realize that, look, you know, I don't really need to eat that much. Right. So during Jacob's trouble, those that have, you know, spent this time of grace and liberty, you know, actually fasting, you know, you may go a couple of days without eating or drinking, but by you disciplining yourself beforehand, it's not going to be, you know, just this, you know, whole, you know, issue like that out here. And then of course, as we've been going into with these verses, the Lord will feed you and have you to drink out here. But this is Isaiah 65 and 13. "Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed."
Hey, and the Lord is declaring those things. That's not a maybe or an if. No, he's declaring, all right, his servants. Who are the servants? All right, the prophets, okay, and those that serve him. You see, making your body a living sacrifice, all right, believing on Yahweh Shai, man, all right, in the gospel in its totality. You see, those are the servants who gonna eat, who gonna have shelter, who gonna drink, and ultimately be protected, all right, and have that hedge around them. You see, which I think we went into that hedge, I believe last week, man. You know, those that break the hedge, man, they ultimately get bitten. You know, but you had any closing points? You know, so Lord willing, you know, this struck fear, right, in a righteous way, okay, that we may continue to do these, you know, these selfless acts, okay. So prior to getting out of here, we like to give all glory, honors, and prayers unto
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.